guys, hope you guys are doing well today. So today I decided to film a video that is mainly geared towards incoming or current high school seniors. I know that senior year is one of the most stressful years of high school. I could say that because I just recently went through it. I am now an incoming college student, a freshman, and I just wanted to give you guys advice about things that worked for me my senior year, and I hope that it might help you guys. So personally for me overall, senior year was kind of crappy for me, mainly because I had so much personal issues. I had a lot of health issues and things like that. So in the end, it just wasn't my favorite year. But yeah, I don't think senior year was horrible in terms of it being senior year, but I think it was just more horrible because there was stuff in my personal life that wasn't really helping with the whole school aspect of it. Senior year, you're doing things like having fun, such as going to things like prom and homecoming, but then you also have all this stuff such as college applications, acceptances, rejections, and scholarships and financial aid stuff you got to figure out for the next school year. So it can be very stressful at times, and hopefully these little tips can help you guys out. Also, this video is mainly going to be a part of a series. So this series is going to be my tips and tricks for senior year video, but then I'll do my next video should focus on essays and how to write the perfect college essays and short answers and stuff like that. Stay tuned for that, so definitely please subscribe down below if you want to see that and hopefully get some help from that. So at the end of the series, I will announce where I'll be going to college. I'm definitely really looking forward to that, and hopefully you guys are as excited as I am. And so now let's just get to it. So my first tip of advice is that your summer, if any of you guys are still in summer for senior year, you guys should basically focus on developing your college list. So I know for me, I applied to 17 schools, which I personally think was definitely not needed in the application process. I had friends that applied to 6 schools, and you end up going to 1 school. So in the end, it doesn't really matter how much you apply to, it matters more about where you apply to. Basically, that whole list, you look at it, and you're going to be going to one of those schools. Do a lot of research beforehand before you apply, just so you know exactly where you want to go. So the best thing that you can do to save yourself is just love every single school you're going to, so you know that wherever you end up, whether that be a safety school, a mid-range, or a reach school, you're going to love it, and you know you'll have a good time, and you know you're getting a good education. My second tip of advice is to basically do an Excel sheet, kind of like how I did it right here, and make an Excel sheet of all the schools that you are going to be applying to. So I thought I'd show you guys how to make one of these. So go on any processor that creates spreadsheets, such as Keynote or Google Drive and whatever, and put in a title, because that's always helpful. And then you're going to want to list the colleges that you are planning on applying to down on the columns. And for this example, we're going to use UC Santa Barbara, Yale, and MIT. And then for the next column, what you want to do is put in the acceptance rate, because that's always something you can compare with to other schools. And then you want to have deadlines, because each school has a different deadline. And then the application fee, because each school also has different fees that you're going to pay. And then you're going to basically also put in like the number of rec letters that are required for each application for each school. And then, you know, your ACT, SAT sub scores, or like that range that the school usually takes in. And then anything else that's going to be helpful in the spreadsheet. So this list overall is really helpful, because you can give this to your teachers that will be doing the recommendation letters and your counselors, and they know which schools that they have to submit these letter recommendations through their Common App application. But then it's also really helpful for your parents, because they know how much money that they will be spending on the schools that you're applying to. But then overall, it's going to be really helpful for you, because you have an idea of when the certain deadlines are. If you need to look the general information up, it's all on one page. And you just, sometimes when you're applying to like 17 schools like I did, you really lose track of the schools that you're applying to. And it's really helpful to have everything all on one page when it comes to the general information. So my third tip of advice is to apply ED. This is something I actually didn't do. And when I mean apply ED, I don't mean just apply ED. If you want to apply early action or early decision, you definitely just overall should apply early. So early decision, from what I remember, is basically choosing to apply to a school early, and if you get in, you're binded to go there, as opposed to early action, where you can apply to a school early, and if you get in, you definitely can SIR there early on, and you could go there, or you could wait until you apply regular decision for other schools, and in the end you decide. When you apply to schools, not only are you paying for your college applications for every school you're applying to, but you're paying for the SAT scores that you're sending into each school, and they're also paying for like the CSS profile and all those financial aid stuff that I will be talking about later. And so personally, what I would say is apply early decision or early action, not only because you want to know early if you got in or not, but you know, you're saving yourself a lot of money, and maybe if you don't get in, it gives you time to definitely look into the other schools and where you're going to apply to if you do get rejected. In the end, I didn't go to a school that even allows early decision and early action applications, so in a way it wasn't really regretful, but you know, for those of you guys that are hoping to get into schools that do offer early decision and early action, take that opportunity. Also, quick side note, if you do qualify for this program called QuestBridge, I know I didn't qualify for it, but I did have friends that did, but they also helped them, you know, have an idea of college apps before the whole thing even got started with the applications for seniors. So if you do have that chance to be a QuestBridge scholar, definitely check that out. I'll have a link down below. So tip number 4, call me old school if you want, but personally, I did read a lot of books for high school seniors that really helped me out personally. I know you can get a lot of free resources available online through blogs and YouTube and stuff like that too, but I personally just enjoyed going to Barnes & Noble's on certain days over summer and over my free time right before I started the whole application process, and I read a lot of books about applying to college, essay examples, and it really did help me in the end craft the perfect essay. I'm not going to be sharing my personal statement essay in this video, but hopefully in the next few videos that are to come. First book that I totally recommend that you guys buy, and I bought all these books at Barnes & Noble's, this was The College Admissions from Application to Acceptance Step by Step. It was by Robin Mamlet and Kristen Vandeveld. And this was the book. I believe it was $20 US, which is kind of expensive for a book. But one thing that I do enjoy doing actually is just going to Barnes & Noble, sitting there and reading the book and then leaving at the end of the day without buying the book. You could do that as well. The next book, which was one I actually just really enjoyed reading, and it's kind of stupid because it's just a bunch of essays about kids that got into Harvard. But I mean, I did buy this book mainly for my Harvard essay. But one thing that I really did like about this was it had a bunch of interesting essays. There's like some really interesting people. So this book is 50 Successful Harvard Application Essays. And if you're wondering, no, I didn't get into Harvard. I got rejected. The next book is actually one book that I bought for my UC applications for those essays. But for me, since I applied in 2016, that's when the whole UC changed their essay system for the application, where they made it into personal insight questions. I mean, this kind of applied to the personal insight questions. So this book is 100 Successful College Application Essays, includes advice from college counselors and admission officers. And this book had a bunch of students that got into some of these schools such as University of Pennsylvania, Vanderbilt, UC Berkeley, UCSD, and Yale and stuff like that, so definitely check this book out. And then one book that really did help me at the end of the college application process, it helped me after I was done and I was like stressing out until I was gonna wait and hear back from these schools, was this book, and it was basically by Frank Bruni, and it's Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be. And it sounds so cheesy, but this book definitely did change my perspective in the end. But this book, as soon as you're done with your college essays and applications, all you can do is just worry about whether or not you got in or not. And honestly, reading this book kind of helps you realize that in the end, everything will be okay. Number 6 that I cannot stress enough is get your FAFSA or financial aid done early if you need financial aid. Okay, the only reason why I'm saying that is despite the deadline being in March, you never know what can go wrong in terms of submitting these documents and doing these applications, and turning it in early is just always a good idea. And also, if you're applying to private schools and you know you're going to need aid for that, you definitely need to apply for the CSS profile, which is separate from FAFSA. And doing the CSS profile basically is like a financial aid form, but for these private schools. And I think with CSS profiles, for every school that you apply to, I think it's a $15 fee. So that, again, is why you should consider your college list and the size of it. Tip number 7 is to definitely send your scores on time. Just really make sure you know when those deadlines are and go to your College Board website and send in those scores, and not your AP scores, but your SAT scores, your SAT subject scores, and your ACT scores. Tip number 8, I know you might be wondering that right now, because I know that was something I always wondered, is when you should ask for a recommendation letter. Recommendation letters are due the same day your applications are due. So basically, I asked my teachers in September, and usually they had it ready within a few weeks, but I just gave them plenty of time, and I attached that Excel sheet that I showed you guys before, and I gave that to them so they knew how many recommendation letters that they would be submitting it to on the common application. But then also if they wanted to go ahead and specialize a certain recommendation letter geared towards a certain school, which is totally okay and totally normal to do that, they know what to do. So definitely just give them plenty of time, and that in the end it gets really helpful because it doesn't stress them out, and they're most likely going to say yes if you tell them well in advance, and everything will be okay in terms of that. Tip number 9 that really helped me out was actually to create a resume before you even started your college application process. So just having a resume is really helpful, like a professional resume, like a resume that you are going to give to someone like an employer, because once you're done with that resume, then you can use it for your college applications. But then in a few months, when college applications are done and you're going to start applying to scholarships, you could use that as well for that. The last tip is tip number 10, and I know not all schools have these, but this is something I really actually enjoyed in the college application process. I like the essays, but I also really enjoyed doing interviews. And the reason why I like doing interviews is personally because I like talking to people, and it gives me a face to the school that I'm applying to. So I actually had to do about like 6 to 7 interviews for some of these schools. A lot of these schools that did require interviews were reach schools that I didn't get into. I only got into like one school that I did like an interview for. But in the end, the interviews are helpful because these people are basically trying to help you in your application process to boost your chances of getting in, and they're just basically trying to send in a good word on behalf of you. Schools such as Harvard and I think Georgetown, they required you to fill out an application before you even went to your interview. I still keep in close contact a lot of my interviewers. I know my Georgetown interviewer, he was super sweet. He actually did a job that's technically my dream job. So even though I'm not going to be going to Georgetown, I still email him a lot frequently and I ask for his advice. Yeah, interviewers are just really fun, and what I really recommend is basically have a notebook in hand after you're done with your first interview and write down the questions that they ask you, so when you go on to your next interview for your other college, you can just read that right beforehand and everything's fresh in your head. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing a video more into detail about interviews because that's something I really enjoyed and I feel like I could talk about a lot, so definitely stay tuned to that. So that is it for my video. Any seniors that are going into senior year or any seniors that are currently in senior year, good luck. This year you learned so much through the college application process. The only thing you could technically do other than stress about it is really embrace it, and I highly encourage you guys to just take this opportunity to learn more about yourself, who you are, what you've become, and stuff like that, and just really embrace it. And a quick side note again, also if you guys are stressing out about, you know, getting in, being rejected, and not getting into your dream school and stuff like that, just know that in the end, and you're probably not going to believe me now, but you do really end up where you're supposed to be at the end. So definitely don't stress out about it, but you're probably not going to listen to that because I know a bunch of people told me that and I just still worried about it. But other than that, good luck. Bye guys.